Welcome to Cinepro, where we bring your favorite movies back to life with quick recaps, hidden details, and everything you missed. The movie begins with the student Cyan, who was writing in her diary and not playing with her friends using feather pillows. At that moment, the pen she was holding falls from her hand. She goes to pick it up and continues writing in her diary. When Cyan raises her head, she notices a strong wind sweeping through, causing chaos among her friends, splitting them into two groups. Cyan is left terrified and lowers her head to avoid the wind. As the wind begins destroying everything around her, Cyan runs through the streets, confused and unsure of what's happening. She eventually encounters 4 students walking by and tries to warn them about the wind, but she fails, and 3 of them die. Moments later, the wind returns and kills the girl who was with her. Cyan keeps running through the forest until she reaches a lake and jumps into it. There, she finds the clothes of one of the deceased students, wears them, and cleans herself in the lake. Cyan then walks through the forest until she finds herself back at the school, surprised to see the students recognizing her. Although Cyan doesn't recognize the students, she reunites with her friend Sushi, whom she can't believe she's seeing again. Suddenly, a strong wind blows over the students and Cyan becomes frightened, running into the school. Sushi follows her and talks to her. Cyan starts explaining what happened, saying that all the students died in the school bus. After Sushi takes her to the classroom, Cyan begins crying, saying she can't distinguish between dreams and reality. Sushi reassures her, telling her that she was just dreaming, and asks her to stick her hand out of the window to confirm that there's no wind. Cyan starts to feel reassured, realizing that what happened was just a dream. Sushi then takes her to the classroom to meet her friends, and they decide to escape from school to have fun. While walking through the school corridors, they encounter their teacher who asks them where they're going. The students leave her and manage to escape from the school. They run through the forest until they reach a lake and sit by it. Sushi starts telling the students about what happened to Cyan, mentioning that she dreamt all the students had died. At that moment, Cyan imagines a student being attacked by a crocodile and becomes convinced that something strange is happening to her. The students find feather pillows lying nearby and start playing with them joyfully. Cyan notices a drop of blood on her hand, but realizes it was just her imagination. They decide to return to school. Cyan runs with her friend Sushi, and when she enters the classroom, she notices a pillow on the ground. She wants to throw it to Sushi, but the students all get startled. It turns out that the one who killed the students was their teacher, who had a very powerful weapon. The teacher tries to kill Cyan, but her friends intervene and save her. Cyan and her friends hide in another classroom, but another teacher starts shooting at them. The teacher reveals her intention to kill all the students. Cyan manages to escape with the remaining students. The teachers and their accomplices continue shooting at the girls, even firing rockets at them. However, the girls successfully escape. A strong wind eventually comes and kills the girls. Cyan understands that she has to lower her head and begins running towards the town center. She goes to report what happened to the police and notices that the officer seems to recognize her but calls her by a different name. When Cyan looks at herself in the mirror, she realizes her appearance has changed and she has become someone else. After getting into a car with the officer, Cyan notices that all the girls are gathered around her and is surprised that the entire town consists only of women. Cyan eventually reaches a strange-looking house and learns from the girls that she is the bride they are celebrating. Cyan finds her friend Sushi and asks her how she is still alive, wanting to understand the strange events happening around her. After the girls leave the place, Sushi starts explaining what Cyan must do, telling her to wear the wedding dress but warning her that she must kill anyone who stands in her way. Moments later, the girls start approaching Cyan, but Sushi appears and takes them out. Sushi then hands Cyan a bottle and tells her to go to the hall and kill all the girls there. Cyan doesn't understand what's happening but follows the instructions. She notices the girls behaving strangely towards her, throwing feathers at her. Cyan then encounters her groom, who has a pig-shaped head. Moments later, the teacher and her accomplice appear, but Cyan and Sushi team up and defeat them. Cyan escapes from the place, running through the streets until she encounters a woman who seems to know her. When Cyan looks at herself in the mirror, she finds that she has transformed into a different person and is still confused about what's happening. Cyan tries to get information from the girls, but they tell her to run because she's about to lose the race. Cyan runs as fast as she can, remembering when she used to run as a child. At that moment, Sushi reappears, telling her to escape because the teacher and her accomplice are still alive. After leaving the race and escaping in another direction, Cyan finds herself in a strange cave. She encounters one of the students, who takes her to a place where many dead students are lying. The student starts speaking, accusing Cyan of being the reason behind the students' deaths and attempting to attack her. Just as the student is about to kill her, Sushi appears and saves Cyan by killing the attacker. Sushi takes Cyan aside and asks her to keep repeating her name out loud. Although Cyan doesn't understand, she does as she's told and eventually returns to her original form. When Cyan asks Sushi to explain what's happening, Sushi reveals that they are in an unreal world and urges Cyan to kill her to return to the real world. Cyan hesitates because Sushi is her friend, but Sushi insists, shouting at her to do it quickly. After Cyan complies and kills Sushi, a strange door appears at the end of the cave. Cyan walks through the door, which is supposed to return her to the real world. However, she finds that everyone has become men and realizes she's entered a world opposite to the one she was in. She also notices a picture hanging on the wall and learns that the characters she lived with in the first world have been turned into a game. And then a stranger comes to her and talks to her, telling her that she has been transported to the future. At that moment, Cyan enters and falls to the ground, only to wake up and find herself back in the cave again. After Cyan enters through another portal, we see her transported to a strange place. There, she finds all her classmates mummified. Cyan keeps walking around the place in confusion, unable to distinguish between fantasy and reality. At that moment, she encounters an old man who was playing with the three characters she had lived as in the first fantasy world. She learns that he is the reason behind everything that happened to her. The old man starts explaining to her, telling her that she had died a long time ago, and that they had used her and her friend's DNA to create a game. Cyan doesn't believe anything he says, but he shows her her own mummified body. When Cyan goes to look at herself, she also finds all her friends, including Sushi, who was mummified as well. Afterward, the strange man appears to her again and tells her that he is the one who created the game. At that moment, Cyan hits him with a pillow filled with feathers and manages to defeat him. After all the feathers turn red, Cyan takes the staff from the old man and ends her own life. Red feathers emerge from her body. We then see the game restarting again, but Cyan doesn't allow anyone to play it and ends her life with the pen she had dropped earlier. Afterward, she's at a wedding and ends her life with a bottle, dying again. Later, she's in a running competition and ends her life with the bottle again. In the end, Cyan appears lying on the snow, then gets up and runs toward an unknown path. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and follow us. Goodbye.